is BTS really bigger than K-pop, or is this just another army hallucinating? They are in the military, it's impossible they're contributing more than the rest of the industry, right? There are so many new groups that are debuting faster than we can actually grow mushrooms. Maybe before they enlisted. Were they? Is that even possible for one band to actually outperform an entire industry? Well, don't you fret. I will help you determine whether Army is hallucinating or not by actually looking at receipts. Let's look at actual, tangible metrics and determine how big BTS versus the rest of the industry. I am going to divide this into two parts because it's going to be too long if I put everything in one video. Let's first discuss it from the point of view of direct business. How much money did BTS pull directly to their company in terms of revenue versus the rest of K-pop? Then, in the next part, we're going to discuss how BTS's popularity affected other industries like their culture, other businesses, language, art. But for this video, let's just look at the direct revenue that BTS pulled versus other K-pop groups. Hi! I have actually started uploading new content on Twitter, so if you haven't followed me there, please follow me there. I will continue to upload new content. Let me know if there's anything that you want me to do there or here. Leave them in the comment section below. Of course, if you do find anything interesting, you want me to cover any kind of topic, just leave them in the comment section below. DM me or tweet me. Okay, I keep on saying Twitter, but it should be X. Okay, please, if you like this video, if you find it helpful, give it a thumbs up and subscribe and hit that notification button so that you know that when there's a new video getting published. And share the video if you can. That's really helping my channel. Thank you. I know what you're going to be asking. Where did I get the numbers? Well, from the agencies themselves. SMYG, HYBE, and JYP actually publicize their financial statements quarterly for the information of their shareholders and other stakeholders. But it also helps them attract new investors. And if it ever comes to a point where they need to take a loan, having those financial statements ready and known to the public will actually help them. They also give this data to the media, to fund managers, financial websites, etc., all in the interest of making it accessible to possible investors. This is not top secret information. You can get it yourself. And whatever it is that I'm going to be saying, numbers that I will be mentioning, you can verify it yourselves. But of course, I'm going to be showing the numbers on the screen. But if you want to check it yourself, go ahead and do it. You can get it on their website and other financial websites like Wall Street Journal. I usually go to different sources like the company website and then to websites like Wall Street Journal. I just like making sure that the numbers match. That is because I like the format of US-based financial websites. That's better for me. Next concern, is it accurate? They shouldn't lie. They can get sued by the government or by shareholders if they actually lie in their numbers. Sure, sometimes there are inconsistencies, but they're never inconsistent enough for it to be significant. Next concern, I will cover 2018 to 2023 financial reports because prior to that, Big Hit revenue report wasn't actually publicized. In the interest of fairness, I will start 2018 because that's the year when all four major companies started having all of their reports printed and distributed. There are also a lot of major points we can discuss about their reports, but there are two stats we need to look at first, and then later on, if you want to go through the rest, just let me know and I'll discuss them. So what are the two data points? Gross revenue and net profit. Gross revenue is the total amount of sale they made in a year. So for example, if I sold 10 shirts for $100 each, that doesn't mean I now have $1,000 in my pocket. Of course, I spent for the fabric, making the pattern for the shirt, sewing it, printing it, packaging it, and then paying people that did all of those work. That's what we call COGS, or cost of goods sold. There are administrative costs too, shipping, business registration, and others. All of those things I need to spread to the 10 shirts that I will be selling. So just because I sold $1,000 doesn't mean I made $1,000. Next is net profit. Net profit is how much you actually earned after all the expenses have been taken out, including COGS or cost of goods sold. This is what we usually call the bottom line. After taking out the cost of goods, taxes, fees that I need to pay the platform where I sold it, whatever is left is the net profit. Now, here is the line graph of the gross profit of HYBE, SM, YG, and JYP from 2016 to 2023. Don't worry, we're going to zoom in to every number and we're going to discuss it. I just want you to see the big picture. Blue is HYBE, red is SM, JYP is yellow, and YG is green. Now, here is the net profit. Now, let's go through the numbers with greater detail. From 2016 until 2019, SM Entertainment was the undisputed leader in terms of gross revenue. As you can see, they practically doubled their revenue from 2017 to 2019. JYP was dead last. This started to shift end of 2019. And by 2020, Big Hit was actually ahead by more than 200 billion Korean won. By 2021, they became a trillion won company, and 2023, double trillion won. SM actually came close to breaking 1 trillion at 961 billion Korean won by 2023. Maybe they'll get there by the end of this year, who knows? Another interesting thing to note is JYP moving closer to YG in 2022 in gross revenue. They are separated by 50 billion won in 2022 and 3 billion won by 2023. The numbers in red, those are the gross sales of 3 agencies put together, SM, JYP, and YG. Now, some of the things you may ask, what caused HYBE, formerly Big Hit, to overtake these other companies? What caused the slowdown of SM's growth? What caused the incredible growth of HYBE from 2021 to 2022? The answer is BTS, but we will discuss that later. First, let's go to net profit. As I've mentioned, just because they were selling a lot doesn't mean that they are actually earning a lot. 2016, YG was actually the most profitable with 14 billion won, and Big Hit was second despite having the lowest gross sales. This was the year Big Bang actually toured the second time and they released Made. It was also their 10th anniversary. 2016 is also when Twice's breakthrough year happened. GOT7 also toured, and JYP netted more than SM Entertainment. By 2017, Big Hit became bigger than all 3 agencies combined. At that time, BTS was their only artist together with Yoon. Yes, in 2017, BTS was bigger than the 3 agencies combined. However, let's take into consideration that there are other agencies like RBW and Starship. 2017 is also the first year JYP overtook YG in net profit, and they have never looked back since. 2018, Big Hit's revenue doubled, and the 3 agencies together amounted to 63 billion won. By 2019, Big Hit was at 72 billion won in net profit, and the 3 agencies together were at 6.5 billion won. Given that in 2019, BTS contributed 97% to Big Hit's revenue, we could actually safely say Big Hit was bigger than the rest of K-pop. Unless Starship or FNC or RBW were raking in cash. However, those were the years Starship, the agency with the greatest chance of getting higher revenue, was actually disbanding groups and making new investments. Other things to note, YG and SM lost a lot of money. 2019 was the year of the Burning Sun scandal and the year Louis Vuitton decided to opt out of their investment of YG, and YG had to pay them back their initial investment. Blackpink had their first world tour, albeit smaller venues, but it probably helped YG. 2020, HYBE netted 87 billion won, and the other 3 netted 32 billion. Again, unless the smaller agencies were raking in cash, And BTS actually brought in 90% of the revenue of Big Hit, which turned into Hype later on. We can safely say that BTS at that time was bigger than the rest of K-pop. YG also netted 3 billion won, still recovering from the Louis Vuitton pullout and the scandal. 2020 is when the pandemic hit. By 2021, Big Hit made a huge investment. It created Hybe, separated Big Hit, and bought Ithaca. It was also the year they formally canceled Map of the Soul tour. That pulled down their net profit. But they still bagged 140 billion won in net profit. That's hundreds of millions they had to return. And they still bagged 140 billion won in net profit. The closest was SM at 127 billion, and then JYP at 67 billion, and then YG at 22 billion won. Now remember, JYP grossed 193 billion won versus YG's 355 billion won. But JYP's net profit was more than twice that of YG. JYP is very efficient in his spending. 2022, Hybe continued expanding, buying AI companies, gaming companies, production companies, and others. BTS still ended up contributing 60% to Hybe's revenue despite the tour cancellation. They did 12 shows for PTD, California, Las Vegas, and Seoul. They also announced that they will pursue individual activities, and the world went mad. They did a free concert in Busan to help Busan's bid in the World Expo. J-Hope released his album but didn't release a hard copy, to the disappointment of many ARMYs. New Jeans and Lesser of Him debuted. Blackpink released an album and started their world tour, but that's not enough for YG to overtake JYP in net profit. JYP netted 67 billion won versus 46 billion won of YG for 2022. JYP at that time had two active touring groups, Twice and Stray Kids. 2023, JYP also became the second biggest agency with 105 billion won in net profit. YG had 76 billion won and SM had 82 billion won. Hybe netted 183 billion won, and 50% of that came from BTS. Net profit, though, isn't the only thing that we should be looking at when we're trying to judge the health or the size of the company. There are companies that run their businesses efficiently, and there are those that are very, very extravagant. Just because a company has lower net profit doesn't necessarily mean they're doing bad. It could be that they are paying debts like YG was doing in 2020, or they are expanding like Hybe and JYP. Now, the other thing to consider is how a group helped their company expand. It could be argued that BoA actually made SM. If it wasn't for her success in Japan, SM wouldn't have been able to expand. Japan was a cash source for SM, and BoA was the first one who established their name in SM. The same thing can be said about Rain for JYP. Despite the successive failures of JYP in forming groups, they managed to sustain their business until they actually hit it big with Wonder Girls and 2PM, and it was all because Rain was there to rake in the cash for them. For YG, it was Big Bang. YG's building would still be a brick now if it wasn't for Big Bang. BTS, on the other hand, built Hybe, which leads me to the company valuation, market cap, and assets held by the company. Total assets held is actually everything that a company owns, from the value of their IP to investments to brand, even to real estate if they own any. For example, Big Hit's total asset for 2022 was 4.8 trillion won. JYP's total asset for 2022 was 411 billion won. SM's total asset for 2022 was 1.4 trillion won. YG had 712 billion won. You can combine the assets of all three agencies, JYP, SM, and YG, and Big Hit would still be worth more. And given that this was 2022, the year when all other groups were just debuting, it's safe to say that whatever it is that Big Hit owns, it won't be possible if it wasn't for BTS.
That's the importance of total assets held. And we haven't even gotten to the market cap. But with the total assets held and the revenues that they have yearly, it's safe to say that yes, BTS is bigger than K-pop. The only thing that we could probably consider is if all the other smaller agencies combined would be worth more than what HYBE is worth. But BTS's influence isn't just limited to their own company. They helped open the international market, and it's not just for K-pop, it's beyond that. In the next installment of this video, we're actually going to be talking about their influence on Korean culture, tourism, and how they affected other businesses. And just like this video, I will be showing receipts.
I got a lot of emails and DMs for new topics. Thank you to everybody who's suggesting topics, asking questions, and sometimes those questions are actually giving me new ideas on what topics to cover. Let me know if there's anything that you want me to cover on X. Follow me on X, formerly Twitter, and or any other social media links that you see on your screen right now. I really appreciate all of your communications. Thank you so much. I read them. If I haven't replied to them, I will. Just give me some time. All right. I hope you found this video helpful. Thank you so much. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification button so that you know when there's a new video getting published, and share the video if you can. That's really helping my channel. Thank you. I appreciate you all.